Stephen Campiglio, and I'm Program Associate in Credit-Free Programs and Continuing Education.
Okay. And what year did you begin working at MCC?
March of 2005.
Okay. Were you familiar with the college before that?
I really wasn't, Bob. It's okay to say Bob. I didn't screw things up, did I? Okay. And I should be looking at you, right? Okay. Interesting, I was job hunting because I had recently moved then in 2002, I moved to Sturbridge, Mass. I was living in Worcester. And when I bought a house in Sturbridge, I began to, the job I had was, I was working for a small nonprofit. And so that was kind of tenuous ground anyway. And with a new geographical area, long and short, was that I began a new job search. And I looked at colleges from Sturbridge. All of a sudden, Manchester pops up on the map, and I was not very familiar with Manchester, Connecticut. My experience in Manchester was driving through it on my way to like Philadelphia, where my father was from. So I was not familiar with the college, but I did see the job opening and continuing education, and one thing led to another, as we say.
So do you remember your initial interview for the job position?
Oh, absolutely.
Who was the interview?
It was a search committee it was more than 20 people. I had never been in an interview situation like that. And I walk into the room, and they were all there seated, and it was a very different sort of experience. You know, I certainly wasn't new to interviewing and job changes. You know, when I started working here, I was in my 40s. But I had never been in an interview situation with a committee. So that was interesting. I have to say that what sort of relaxed me was, and one of the items that I would like to mention when because I was told about, to be thinking about first experiences and everything. When I came onto campus, what I was immediately struck with was all the artwork on the walls. And I actually hear that from so many people, especially in my position where I interview new instructors. They're coming to the campus for the first time, and I'm now on the other end where I'm interviewing prospective instructors. I hear that so often, Bob. Wow, all this artwork on the walls. Or I happen to come in through AST, and I stopped and looked at the gallery, and so on my way to the search committee, I was instantly struck by the artwork, and it made me feel very at ease with my background in the arts as well. And I was thinking to myself, this is an institution that values art, and that was very pleasant. So even though I was a little bit struck by opening the door and seeing 20 plus folks seated around a large conference table, I was ready for it.
What are some of the areas that you work in here?
Well, as a credit-free, I'm sort of like the enrichment person. I schedule all the non-computer, non-allied health courses for credit-free. That includes art and crafts, body, mind, spirit, cuisine classes, dance, drama, family finance and consumer issues, gardening, culture and history, professional development, which includes real estate. I schedule the writing, literature, and publishing classes, music, all of those areas. I'm involved with scheduling instructors and their courses from those subjects.
And do people call you and say, hey, I've got an idea for a course?
I have a system where, because we have 4 catalogs a year, 3 credit-free, spring, summer, fall, and then the winter catalog is a combination credit, smaller catalog. So I'm typically in contact with anywhere from 60, 70, 80 instructors, sometimes even a little bit more, plus the new hires. I have to have a system in place or I would go crazy. So I really have kind of a generic call for course submissions. When I'm ready to start the new catalog, I send it. I have a distribution list with all the instructors' emails, and then which is constantly updated. Some instructors eventually can no longer teach for credit free. They've moved on. We have new hires. They're added. So it's a list. It's an organic list, always in flux. And then so the emails go out asking for, course submissions with all the holidays, dates to avoid, etc. In that same email, that's where I pitch if you have a new course idea. I'm always looking for new courses. Credit free is definitely not a static venture. We're always reinventing ourselves. So even if it's a subject that we already have, for instance, writing and literature, to have a writing workshop that we don't have. And a perfect example is, for instance, we just hired someone to teach nature writing. And that's something that Credit Free didn't have previously. And this new hire will start with the fall catalog. So in these generic emails calling for courses, that's when I try to also generate new courses, as well as having these instructors re-offer existing courses.
What's the funniest course proposal you ever received?
The funniest. Probably something that I wouldn't have accepted. I mean, if it was, ludicrous. But that's, like, you mean funny, like in something that would never have
fun? The most offbeat.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank on that one.
Okay. Well, let's move on. Do you accept most of the proposals that come your way?
We actually have a pretty rigorous process, and there's sort of a misunderstanding maybe in the community. Some people think, enrichment and here's my course, put it in, and actually just to get back to probably one of the funniest encounters, it wasn't necessarily a course proposal per se, was someone actually did walk into the continuing ed office. She had pulled our form off the web. She filled it out, and she says, and pretty much said, here's my course, can you put it in the next catalog? And I was a little puzzled and looked at her and said, we have to hire you first. And when I say rigorous, I'm referring to the hiring process is rigorous. We generally require at least a master's and some teaching experience. And then there's all the forms, state of Connecticut forms. We don't ask them to get into all of that detail unless we're interested. So we try to save people time. Pretty much what we ask for in the very beginning is a resume and a course proposal. We can tell from those two items, do they have the background to teach what they're pitching, and is what they're pitching something that we're interested in? And then, then we go through all the hoops. We check the references, and then we have the interview process. And if the person's approved, then everything sort of comes back to me, because I'm the catalog editor, and I schedule, as I was saying, most of the credit-free classes. So as the editor, when a new course comes in with a new hire, then I'm the one working with that person to make sure that the course description is right up to snuff, and then I'm also scheduling the person at the same time.
Have the number of course offerings increased over the last 6 or 7 years?
It absolutely has. When my background in the arts, which I referenced earlier, I am a published poet. I've been an arts organizer for 30-plus years. And I've organized, when I say arts organizing, that's not just poetry readings, but music events, theatrical events. I've been involved in artist groups in different scenarios. So when I started here with credit-free programs, the first thing that I wanted to do was draw from my strength and expand in the subjects that I had a background in, and in areas that I wanted to network through anyway, because I viewed Connecticut as new territory. As I mentioned earlier, I really didn't know the Manchester area, so I didn't know many of the artists in this area either. So my first task, that self-appointed task really, was to grow the writing section and the music section and the art section. And then I eventually focused on really growing the catalog in general, so that it's become a 72-page catalog the spring and fall, and I now schedule maybe over 200 classes, close to 220 sometimes, up to 240, and I think that when I started, the catalog was maybe about maybe 15, 20 pages less than what it is now. So the course offerings have grown, and our instructor base has grown. And as I said, I really kind of focused first on growing the arts in particular.
Could you tell us about the Words and Music program?
The Micah. That I founded that about a year after I started here. So it first program was fall of 2006, and it's a monthly music and poetry program, and it's funded by the MCC Foundation. And again, it really just kind of was, it was my background. It's kind of like I've always thought that wherever, any new situation that I've been in, that I tend to want to start some kind of art series, which is what I've done for the last 30 years. So, when I was walking in for that interview that I was talking about and seeing all the art and seeing a beautiful campus, I'm not kidding you, Bob. I had the idea for Micah, I think, before my hand was on the knob of A108 for my search committee interview. It was instant. I walked on campus. It was like, this is perfect. Of course, then I did my proper homework, and I found out about Steve Strait's poetry series, and then I became familiar with the Hans Weiss art openings and Deborah Simmons' music program. So, you start from the inside out. So you may have a great idea, but you have to, know and honor what's already here. And then, so I, was in touch with Steve about knowing what his series was already doing. And then I thought that a monthly coffee house type series would supplement what was already here. So that's how Micah came into being, the idea of it being more coffee house, less academia-centered, put out coffee and cookies, and have the music as well, which, of course, Steve Strait's series is just poetry. So it, as I say, began in fall of 2006. It's ready to begin its 7th season this fall. So 7 times 6 is 43. I finished my 43rd event last month. And it's about an hour of poetry, about an hour of music, 2 hours of presentation in the evening, third Thursday of each month during the school year, designed to complement the school year. That's always what I had in mind, even though the series tends to draw more from the community, interestingly enough. And it's been a terrific thrill to network with the poetry part, the music part of it, because that's less of my forte. I don't play an instrument. But we have the Hart School here, and we get the Yukon Music Department, and the music scene in Hartford and Greater Hartford is incredible. And I've been able to tap into that and book incredible artists playing for really, very low budget kind of series. The poetry, booking the poets came more naturally because it didn't take long for me to figure out the who's and to really, network through the poetry scene, which is also incredibly vibrant in this part of the state.
Looking to the future, what areas or any areas that you want to expand or develop?
With the new downtown site opening up, the Micah will move to 903 beginning in September. I, would love to be in a position where I could be, booking more arts downtown. Of course, that would have to involve some restructuring of my existing position. But and I've already sort of floated the idea informally to some of my colleagues because I could easily grow the program of Micah. I really do enjoy working at this college, meeting all the colleagues that I met, like yourself, just to see the college continue to grow. I think that the 903 is a great addition. I understand it's just still a five-year experiment, the way I understand it, but those are the kinds of things that can easily turn into permanent additions if everything takes off the way it could and should.
Anything else you'd like to add, Steve?
I would say I hope that folks who come out and support the Mishimaya God series, which I put my heart and soul into, and the series will be back in September, and I've already started to book that, and it's a lot of fun. It's a great way to meet other art patrons and to see some wonderful performances and to support all the other arts that are on campus. The venues I mentioned, the art gallery that Susan Clausen Sullivan curates, and the wonderful music programs, the faculty and student recitals here, and the film series. I heard there's something about an international film series that's worth coming out to see, and it's a terrific campus for the arts in general, and which makes me feel very much at home.
Thank you.
You're welcome, bud.
It was good.